Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I saw a movie, so maybe you don't have to, or maybe you do. On this one, I'm going to call it a toss-up at the very beginning, and we're going to talk about that in the review, which is to follow. So stick around and be ready with some comments, a thumbs up, and make sure you're subscribed. Here we go. Yeah, I saw a movie, so you didn't have to. Mortal Kombat 2 is an interesting movie, to say the least. There are moments that people are going to claim that they saw the messaging. I'm not certain there was a lot of that in there, if any at all. I have to tell you, everybody did a good job as far as the actors go, and I'll reiterate that in a moment. But again, I just want to remind you to double check you're still subscribed, because believe it or not, YouTube is going out of their way to unsubscribe people from a lot of channels lately, and I really hope one of them is not mine. So do me the small favor of double checking that you're still subscribed. Hit the thumbs up button already. Hit the bell icon, turn on all notifications, and you're basically done. All you have to do is leave me some comments along the way and maybe share the video out there, because I want everybody to have a shot at maybe seeing this or not seeing it based on some of my thoughts that I have to say just about this film. Let's talk first and foremost about the fact that it is a Mortal Kombat movie. You don't really have a lot to get excited about. It is what it is. It's always going to be, what it is. Some of your favorite characters are returning. Some of them don't. There is definitely a fight on for the realms, and the realms are the winners here. Actually, for real fans of the video game, you might actually be the real winners here. I know that's a really strange thing to say, but there are moments of this movie that I think are splendid. I think it's visually stunning. I think they took great pains to recreate the arena areas. It seemed like there was a lot of physical sets built. There definitely was some digital stuff going on as well, but there was a lot of attention to detail, and you really like Karl Urban as Johnny Cage, or as they say in the film, Johnny effing Cage. But look, it truly is one of those rare instances where if you're a real fan, you're satisfied. If you weren't a fan, especially of the original games, maybe this isn't your cup of tea, or maybe it's a good entry point for you. There was the right balance of humor at all the right spots where you needed attention release, and there was all the seriousness of actual death and mortality. There was a lot of callbacks from the video game, and a callback to a generation that played the video game, with the final credits rolling across the Mortal Kombat techno song that we all knew and loved back then. The fun part of the film is just how it understands how to play with the campiness of it all. The comedy is leveled in the right spots, as I said before, and I have to say, every actor delivers, from Karl Urban to everybody else that's involved, and even your favorites return, and somebody, that you might like is Scorpion. Every moment of the fights is real, and it feels real as far as it goes with that perspective. And I'm not saying that the actors are actually fighting each other. I'm saying that this felt like it was shot in frame and not digitally created like a lot of superhero films we've seen recently. So it does deviate substantially there. The effects were top bar. Some of the great digital effects they used were excellent as well. Not a lot of blurring. This is a film that won't suffer by being on a smaller screen. And with that, what I really want to communicate is that you don't have to see it in a theater. You especially after you hear what my grade's going to be, and it might surprise you, because it sounds like I'm pretty effusively positive about this, but there are a few moments where I got a little overwhelmed by the girl power. Now, I know maybe I'm a little more sensitive to that, and I'm seeing ghosts, right? That's what we call it here in our sphere. But there were moments where it was like, okay, that's a little over the top, except for one thing. I recalled back in the days of the game that it was over the top for both the guys and the gals. The gals were, well, super powered, and they come through. I will say that Jade really did deliver when I had very low expectations, and I felt like everybody that was in this, especially the actress playing Katana, really brought their A game. The guy that plays Kano is great, and everybody else that came back to life in this one certainly had me sold. But there are going to be some moments where it's a little over the top or it seems a little ridiculous, and you have to forgive this film for that. If anything, it tried to err on the side of the fan service, and that's what a lot of critics are calling out, not really enjoying the film all that much. I still think it'll perform decently at the box office, but it may not command a Mortal Kombat 3. If it did, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, and I can just imagine who they'll bring in. If you are somebody who appreciates camp, you have a lot to look forward to, because that's exactly what Street Fighter looks like it's going to be. And I saw the trailer once again for that on the big screen. I have to say, its ridiculousness is absolutely overwhelming compared to what they tried to do with Mortal Kombat and the realness. Oh, and by the way, Raiden was Raiden, and it was awesome, just like it was in the first movie. Look, if you like the first movie, you'll likely like this second film. And if you enjoy that kind of video game humor, this film's for you. If you don't have any connection to this franchise and these video games, then I wouldn't suggest you see it. I think it might be something you give a pass, because I'm going to give you my ratings. And this is basically as real as it gets. This thing is a C student. It's not that anything was bad. I have nothing but complimentary about everything that was done in this film. The visuals, the story wasn't even bad. The performance of Karl Urban as Johnny Cage right at the beginning, all of a sudden you start to see a little Robert Downey Jr. of recent, comments that he says, you'll be reminded, and that'll be rekindled in your mind right at the beginning of the film. It's almost kind of like they knew somebody was going to say something dumb, and so they made a mockery of them as far as influencers and movie stars and all that kind of thing at conventions. I will say that if this were a school grade, it's a C+. It's a student that wants to do as good as they can, but they just aren't, quite up to snuff. That's kind of where this film is these days. If you were giving it modern day grades, it's probably a B, but honestly, it's still a C student in my book. And so out of a score of 5, it's a 3. And that leaves it as a 6 of 10 if you look at the 10-point scale. There wasn't anything that was overtly terrible, and there wasn't anything that was wildly good. Baraka stands out a lot. Or Baraka. And again, so does Kitana. That actress is really gifted. Other than that, I'm looking forward to Street Fighter, because I have a feeling, because I enjoy the humor that's in that already, I think it's going to be a fan pleaser as well. But hey, if this is your kind of film, if you like video game adaptations, especially something like this with a lot of violence and, a lot of previews that are going to be rated R, red band trailers, we call them, then you're in for some fun. Oh, and by the way, all of those were horrors. Now, on top of all of that, I will say, if you are keeping, the budget tight, you might want to wait for streaming. I said that at the beginning of the review, and I'll say it again. This is one that you can wait for streaming. It's not going to suffer from the small screen, and I think that's something important to convey. I also think it's important to understand what you think. So if you've seen this movie and you have a different opinion or share the same, let me know in the comments section below. If this is your kind of movie, but now you're hesitating, I also want to know that. And it wasn't me that, kind of convinced you to maybe wait. I saw a movie, so you wouldn't have to, and this one, it's up to you. I gave you all the information. You can definitely go out there and see what you think, but don't blame me if it wasn't 100% your cup of tea. You've been warned. And on that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya. Maybe at Mortal Kombat 2 or 3.